Hey everybody, welcome to the first of 3 short and sweet phonics trainings. So every week I am going to be going live on Monday the next 3 weeks with just a short and sweet phonics training that you will be able to take an action step from and implement it in your classroom this year. So that way you can have the best year ever with your phonics instruction. So I'm going to get right into it. So tonight we're going to talk about how to fit in your daily phonemic awareness lessons into your busy day, because I know that your schedule is probably jam-packed and you don't have much extra time, but this is something that you definitely should prioritize. So what does your daily phonemic awareness look like? I want you to think about which one it looks like. Does it look like, number 1, you want to learn more about phonemic awareness? So maybe you don't know what it is. Maybe you just want to learn more about how to teach it. You are in the right place. I do have some helpful blog posts and videos that I will share in a few minutes. So you'll be able to, after you watch this, you'll be able to go back, learn a little bit more about it, and then you can implement these steps. Or possibly maybe number 2. So you sometimes teach phonemic awareness, but you either struggle with lesson planning or finding time. So you know what it is, you teach it sometimes, but you're not being consistent with it. If that's you, then you are definitely in the right place, because I have a couple steps that will get you from teaching it sometimes to becoming more consistent and always teaching your phonemic awareness lessons. Or you might be number 3. So you teach phonemic awareness daily with direct and explicit instruction. So if you already do that, that's great. These tips will still help you just be a little bit more consistent with it, or maybe just kind of make it a little bit easier, so you're not like trying to, look a bunch of different places, like how do I plan my phonemic awareness lesson? This will kind of help you. All right, so if you're not sure what phonemic awareness is, it can be defined as the ability to hear, identify, and manipulate phonemes, which is just another word for sounds, in words. So why is this important? This is like one of the building blocks for students how to read. So in kindergarten and first grade, phonemic awareness should be a huge part of your phonics instruction, because this skill will help them in all areas of learning. So it will help them in reading and writing, even in social studies and science, because they're going to have to read, and some of those words are going to be harder. They'll be able to use these phonemic awareness skills to help decode the words. So if you want to learn more about phonemic awareness, I have 2 blog posts. The top one is a little bit more about the routine that we'll be talking about tonight. And then the second one is all about those different terms. So there's a lot of different terms like phoneme manipulation and phoneme isolation. And if you're like, what in the world is that? I don't know what that is. Don't worry. I explain everything. I have a free printout that you can download as well. So I will post these links in the comments after the live is ended. So don't worry if you don't write them down. I'll have them in the links. And then throughout this week, I'll have a couple more posts about the blog post, so you'll be able to click on it in there. And if you don't teach phonemic awareness, or you kind of want to see what a lesson might look like, you can go to this link. I had last year when COVID first started and everyone had to switch to virtual, I recorded 10 weeks of lessons that teachers were able to send their students. So you can watch those and kind of get a little taste of like how to teach it in your classroom. Okay, so today I'm going to teach you 4 steps to fit in your daily phonemic awareness instruction. So, step number 1, set a time in your daily schedule for phonemic awareness practice. So right now you are all going back to school or preparing to go back to school. When it is time to write your schedule out, make sure that there's a time for your phonemic awareness. You'll need about 10 minutes total. I don't always use the 10 minutes. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 7 minutes. Usually it's like 10 minutes when we are just starting out in the year, or if you are teaching a new skill, sometimes that takes a little bit longer for students to learn. So I like to say 10 minutes is the perfect amount of time. Make sure it's in addition to your phonics block. So if your phonics block is 30 minutes, make sure the first 10 minutes of that is phonemic awareness. This needs to be a time that you set aside and you stay consistent with it. So first step, just set a time. Once you have that time step, that's like the first step in building that habit and making sure that it gets done. All right, the second step is to set up a place and routine for daily phonemic awareness practice. So I know a lot of times my lessons might not always be in the same place. I might teach math on the carpet one day and then maybe at their desk another day. However, for phonemic awareness, I found it most helpful if I taught it in the same place every single day, because you want your students to really get this routine down. It's phonemic awareness time. Where are they? So for my classroom, I always had them sitting on the carpet like this, sitting crisscross applesauce or however they were comfortable, and I knew that they would be learning. And that way they were all looking at me. They didn't have anything at their table or their desk distracting them. I found that my students were most engaged when I was doing my lessons on the carpet. So most of my teaching was done on the carpet. Sometimes I would sit with them on the actual carpet. Sometimes I would have a chair and I would sit up so that they could see me. But this way I had a place that we always did our phonemic awareness practice. And then also have a routine. So with mine, I would start with flashcards and we would go through the different sounds. Later on in the year, it might be long vowel patterns or consonant blends that we're practicing, because you want them to be able to recognize those sounds quickly. So we always did that first. And then we would move into our practice, which was 3 different skills for the week. So we practiced the same 3 skills for the week. So on Mondays, I would always introduce each skill as I went and model, and then they would do it. Tuesdays, I would gradually kind of release it. I would model it maybe once or twice, and then we would do it together. By Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they were doing it on their own. So have that routine, like we always do this first, and then we do this, this, and this. I know on Fridays, I like to do like a little informal assessment. So I would have a checklist, and as I was doing one of the skills, I would call on a bunch of different students and I would check off if they were able to do that skill or not, just to kind of help me see if they could do it individually or if they were just doing it because the rest of the class was doing it. So step 2, set up a place and routine. This is kind of like a habit stacking. So first you set the time, then you're setting the place, now you're setting the routine. You're going to be more consistent with it if you make it a habit in your classroom. Okay, step 3. You want to prioritize and stress the importance of phonemic awareness to your students. So when you are teaching this, you can tell them that this is going to be the most important part of their day. This is how they are going to learn how to read. And I said this all the time to my students. Okay, it's time for phonemic awareness. We do this every single day. We never ever miss our phonemic awareness, not for anything. And I would explain to them why it was so important. This is how you learn how to read. We learn the different sounds and we learn how to play around with the sounds so we can make different words, and it helps us be able to decode those words when we're actually reading. So I just really stressed the importance of it, and they knew, and they honestly really held me accountable for the phonemic awareness time because they knew how important it was. Now, step 4, last step. So you set a time in your schedule, you set up a place and a routine, and then and now we have step 4. So we are planning and preparing your lesson in advance. Now, don't wing it. I totally winged it my first year when I was doing phonemic awareness. The reading curriculum gave me a skill I was supposed to practice, and I didn't plan anything. I just took that skill and I would try to come up with words on the fly, which it ended up being the same words all over and over again because I'm like looking around the room. I'm like, backpack, say backpack. What does backpack start with? So it was always like the same words. So once I started writing them down and coming up with about 8 to 10 words per skill per day, I was able to actually give a really great lesson. And it cut my time a lot shorter because I wasn't using that time to think like, oh, what am I doing next? I already had the words. And so that's why I created these daily warm-ups, is so that teachers could already have the words in front of them and they don't have to fumble around or print a bunch of different word lists. They have it already set for them. So those are the 4 steps. I'm going to go back one more time and just go through them real quick. Step 1, set a time in your daily schedule for phonemic awareness practice. Step 2, set up a place and a routine for your daily phonemic awareness practice. Step 3, prioritize and stress the importance of phonemic awareness to your students. So you're not missing phonemic awareness for anything. You do it, even if you're going on a field trip that day, you sit down, you do it real quick. We always do phonemic awareness. And step 4, plan and prepare your lesson in advance. I like to keep all of my lessons for the entire quarter on one of these clipboards just like this. That way I had them. They were right next to my chair. My students were at the carpet. There was no excuse. There was not a, oops, I forgot to plan it. Oops, I forgot to prepare it. I already had it right there. I could just pull it out and do it. So those are your 4 steps. If you can implement those 4 steps as you are teaching phonemic awareness, you will be able to do it every single day, and you will see a huge difference. If you weren't previously doing it before, or maybe you were a little unorganized, you will see a huge difference that you're more organized and efficient now. Okay, so if you are interested in these, I do have kindergarten and first grade available. I will add the link in the comments below. So if you're watching the replay, then you can just click below. I'll do it in a couple minutes. Thank you so much. I'll announce those winners soon. I will post all of the links in the comments below so that way you can learn more about phonemic awareness and check out those daily warm-ups. So I will see you next week. Bye.